Howdy, y'all. Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee, and today on HermitCraft, we are going to build us an unidentified flying object. Or at least we will until I've identified it positively. And then you guys can all be like, oh, this object was way cooler back when it was all indie and unidentified. So anyway, first thing we're going to want to do is establish just the basic shape of the saucer itself. And I probably should have used dirt for some of that, but I'm just kind of trying to feel it out a little bit, you know? I'm going to do the Stephen Colbert thing and just follow my gut. And my gut isn't necessarily the expert at circle making, but I don't know. Maybe I want to be the expert at circle making sometimes and, you know, stand on my own. I'm already screwing this up. I should have put that one there. Or at least I think that I should have. This might already be a flawed process. What I should probably do is generate the circle here on this side first. Okay. So we've got 2, 1. This might just end up being more or less circular. Okay, wait, no. New idea. Making it actually circular. I think that's the stronger vote here. Okay, so I figured out the rough circle shape of the saucer here. Or at least the first layer, and I'm just kind of going through and eliminating some of the pumpkins. Gonna add a little bit more wool along here. But it looks like just to establish this much of the saucer, essentially took 2 whole stacks of wool. So I'm gonna want to keep that in mind as I finish the top of the saucer. I'm also gonna need that many stacks of wool to finish it. Now, what I want to do is go around the outside here. So I brought some wood, I brought some dirt for scaffolding, and so if I just kind of put this all over here, like so, I can then run a ring of gray wool around the outside. Although, like I was thinking about it, and I like having, you know, obviously all of my processes are fairly iterative. I like having the base of the flying saucer, like, kind of be gray, but I kind of like the idea of having a glowing section, too. Or maybe more than one glowing section. So I brought some highlight colors here as well that I can kind of mix in. I might even put the red and green wool as, like, accent lights on either side. I don't know, I'm still kind of playing with it. You can see my pillar over there in the distance that leads down. So, I think, though, for this layer here, I'm just going to go ahead and also just make, dang it, I'm also just going to make this gray wool. And remember, of course, to have enough to finish. That is crucial. Because there's no fun in having a flying saucer that is not done, you know? What are you going to do? You're going to take it out and show your friends, look, I had this flying saucer. Hey, Generic B, I wanted you to be impressed by this flying saucer that's not finished because I ran out of wool. Wool is one of the most plentiful of lamb-related resources. There's no excuse for running out of it ever. So, anyway, Dark Knight and other things I did on my birthday. I saw The Dark Knight, and I went to this restaurant in Nashville called the Aquarium Restaurant. And it's called that because it actually has aquariums in the walls there. So, you know, you can see sharks and stuff while you eat. And I think that's really cool because I like going to the real aquarium, but I always feel rushed, like I'm not really enjoying everything the aquarium has to offer because I'm always moving on to the next exhibit. Whereas in the aquarium restaurant, they just kind of sit you down and you eat your meal while looking at all the fish and sharks. And, you know, they've got these beautiful, like, tropical fish mixed in there with, like, stingrays and all sorts of other things. And they keep stuff in different tanks so it won't, like, eat each other or whatever. But it's all really neat, and I like it a lot. And so it's one of those things that's a little bit pricey. It's more of a special occasion thing. Like in this case, it was for my birthday. But, you know, it was a blast. And so I'd strongly recommend that to anybody who really liked doing cool stuff, you know, involving animals. There's also like a rainforest cafe in the same mall. But the problem with the Rainforest Cafe is that it's full of animatronic, like, jungle animals, which I understand why you can't have a real lion at the, you know, restaurant or whatever, but it's just kind of more for children, whereas the aquarium restaurant, you know, has actual sharks and stuff, which also children like, I acknowledge this, but, like, fish are really beautiful, and it's really just neat to see them swimming around as you relax and enjoy a meal with somebody that you like a lot. And so me and my fiance, we had a really good time. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I've always liked the idea of owning tropical fish, but I never actually bought any because I knew that I wouldn't be, I don't have time to take care of fancy fish and feed them and do all this other stuff. I'm always traveling. Speaking of which, PlayOnCon is in Birmingham, Alabama, and we're heading down there, in just a little bit, the end of this week. Generic B will be joining me along with Paws, Good, and a bunch of other fellas. So that'll be a blast, but, so let's see. So we've got this basically round flying saucer thing here, right? So what I think I'm going to do, I like this blue for these highlights. I think I'm going to add redstone torches kind of on the outer rims here, just to kind of light it up a little bit. I'm wondering if these circles might have been maybe better joined a different way, but there's only so much you can do about that. It's too late now. So we got our cool little redstone torches here. So now, the thing about a flying saucer, I think, that's always really neat, though, is they usually have some sort of beam or something that comes out of the center here. So one thing that I was thinking of doing was figuring out where the exact middle is, which I know is going to be somewhere along... Okay, so this is the exact middle. I like the idea of having the light wool to the cyan wool to the dark blue wool kind of surrounding that. So, kind of going like this. Now, this is not necessarily going to be the best lit thing from underneath. I'm going to have to be careful about how I figure that out now that I think on it. But either way, so we have this blue cross here, and I'm thinking that we kind of power it almost. You see what I mean? Where it looks like there's energy beams or something coming toward it from either side here, maybe. Yeah, that looks cool. And see, that kind of matches the color there. So let's see what else is going on. So we also saw The Dark Knight Rises, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys because I know some of you haven't had the chance to see it yet, but it's really good. I was not expecting to like it as much as I did, because I heard a rumor early on that Neil Patrick Harris was going to play the Riddler in the new Batman movie, and then when I found out that was untrue, I was kind of unwilling to accept that any Batman movie that did not feature Neil Patrick Harris as the Riddler would be any good. But either way, it was actually really a fun ride. One of the most interesting things about it, though, was the premise of a city that is essentially abandoned by the federal government, and what happens if the federal government, lets a madman hold a city hostage. And I don't want to spoil anything about the movie for you, so don't worry about that, but it's an interesting kind of question. And I realized that even though, the people in the city, it's too late for them to escape because their city is already being held hostage, whatever. What can be done? For anyone else in a city anywhere around the world, they would totally start fleeing their own cities for fear of copycat attacks, right? The idea of the city as an invention that people live in and participate in would possibly, that might be a dead dream, or at least the idea of the metropolis as such a city, So let's see, should I double barrier this one? I kind of like the idea of having this wall be double high, but I don't know. See, I've got more wool than I expected to have or need for all this, so maybe I should just make more than one flying saucer. I don't know. I'll see. Let's go ahead and double wall this just for a little bit of extra effect. That always looks classy. Boom. This is going to look great. You'll be able to see it from my base. I'm really excited. So, let's see. Where was I? But yeah, you'd have certain jobs right now flock to cities, but they don't necessarily need to, in the financial industry and things like that, where, yeah, we benefit from having everybody on the same page and proximity and everything, but, it's not 100% necessary, per se. So, let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a ladder right here where my exit is, so I can always get out. And I'm going to come over here and put a... Let's see. Let's go ahead and destroy the scaffold in here. And I'll install a new ladder back here to get back in. Excellent. This is easier than I thought. I was really expecting this was going to be some sort of horrific trial, because I'm not used to this high-altitude building, which is really just similar to all other forms of building now that I think on it. But, you know, I was a little intimidated at first. I was like, high-altitude building? That sounds like a difficult thing for Joes to participate or attempt or whatever. So, let's see. I guess we're just going to do this backwards, so we'll ring around this with dirt. And then do an internal thing here with the gray wool. So, you know, like web database work, that sort of thing would become more important because you'd have people kind of living further away from the cities and avoiding the cities, you know, just out of fear, essentially. Now, there are certain things in medicine and in science where you really need to have a whole bunch of people in one place because the machines and the tests and everything need to be physically done. And there's expenses with, you know, having people not all in the same location that, you know, couldn't really otherwise be avoided. So that's kind of a special case. But like a lot of jobs, dang it, no, you go just be the gray wool. A lot of jobs, though, could really just go and be out in the country and over the internet. And I don't know. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying it's an interesting thing to think about. Like, how do you beat people that can hold entire cities hostage? You just kind of don't live in cities. That's the out on that one. So yeah, but the movie was good. It was a good trilogy. They really did a good job of wrapping everything up and making it feel like a complete story, which I appreciated a lot. Because a lot of Batman stuff, or a lot of superhero stuff in general, you just kind of get the sense that, oh, okay, they're just here for the money, and, you know, they're just going to keep making stuff, and there's never any finality to it. There's always a cliffhanger. And this film had a lot of finality to it in a very positive way that I enjoyed. So let's see, we're going to go ahead and... Should I light the outside of this with pumpkins? That almost seems like unflying saucery, but... Maybe what I could do is I could put these on top of there. Just kind of have a little bit of accent lighting. Like I said, don't normally design outer space objects. I don't really know exactly what I'm going for with this all the way across the board. I'm just kind of making a lot of this up as I go. Because it's always fun to, you know, challenge yourself to try new things. And, yeah, in fact, I know this one fella from Lantana Games, Dan Silver, he actually just sent me a demo or an early draft of like a pre-alpha release of a game that he started working on at a stealth jam, which is a code jam. Code jams are kind of like where a bunch of programmers get together and they have a challenge and they all try and make something really cool in a very short amount of time that they wouldn't normally be able to make. And so the basic idea there is, you know, that you try a new technology or a new technique that you wouldn't have been able to justify using in your mainline products. And so it's always important to kind of branch out and try new things because you might learn something just by experimenting with that little different thing that you just would have completely missed otherwise. And so, you know, I love science fiction. I really enjoy, one of my favorite comics was always Starship Crisis, Star Trek, Star Wars. I've read way too many novels from those universes. Yes, that makes me a total nerd. But I stopped when I got older because they stopped making good ones. Because I grew out of them. Yes. But, you know, I never make anything kind of different like this in Minecraft. I'm always doing those Vetches maps. And I love those Vetches maps. And I cannot wait for Vetches to get, 1.3 ready because, I guess Jeb has to get 1.3 ready for Vetches. But as soon as 1.3 is out, I'm going to be vetching it up in some Waking Up Restored goodness. Or actually, it's like Waking Up Extended. And he's also got that Inferno Caves thing coming out. There's a lot of cool stuff that Vetches has coming out, but I'm just trying to make sure that I keep my mind sharp and focused in the interim. Look at this. This looks sharp. This looks focused. No, kind of. So, let's see. We've got our cool little beam, like, focus thing there. I kind of want to... What should I put on the roof? The roof. Wow, I've got enough gray wool that I could really just maybe make several of these. I'm tempted to try and make more, which, you know, I think is a good sign because I'm creatively challenging myself. But, anyway, so Dan Silver sent over an early draft of his new game that he and Lantana are working on, called Mistress of Mischief. And it's kind of a puzzle game. I'm trying to figure out still how best to play puzzle games for you guys, because I really like them, but when I play them, I'm actually thinking about how to solve the puzzles, and I'm not necessarily all about how to... It's a lot harder to be funny in a puzzle game than in something like this, because I'm looking at the puzzles and I'm trying to solve them, and, yeah, that's... It occupies too much of my mind. Okay, so there's no way that I can just get these from down here. Okay, I'm gonna have to jump back up there. That's no problem. I got this. This is easy mode. I can tell because Vitches isn't throwing, you know, creeper grenades at me or whatever. I keep seeing these videos of his new stuff he's working on, and it scares me. But at the same time, I kind of don't want to watch those videos because I want those things, those traps and whatnot, to be surprises. So let's see. We are just gonna throw this all up here. Whoops. Whoa. So let's see. It's gonna get dark up here pretty quick, isn't it? So I think what I might do is I might plant a blue one here and then kind of have like a cluster of these blue ones that will, whoops, have a cluster of these blue ones that will surround a jack-o'-lantern. So you can't really see the jack-o'-lantern from the ground, but like from the distance you'd be able to see the UFO. Obviously, like I said, I've got the view distance turned off because of vertigo while I'm up here. What? Did I just hear something open or close? I thought I just heard something open or close. Maybe I'm going crazy. It's just me and Biffa. Everything should be fine. Okay. Biffa's not exactly the most aggressive prankster. Well, I guess he did do that insane snowman thing. So yeah, maybe I gotta worry about Biffa swinging by while I'm up here, but it should be fine. I didn't even think I'd be able to hear a chest from up here. Or maybe that's just something in my apartment, or... that's kind of creepier. Why is there somebody opening chests in my apartment? I hope they're not opening, like, actual chest cavities. And if so, did they bring their own? Or that's... I'm just creeped out now. Okay, it's cool. Everything's cool. Sun is shining, sky is blue. So let's see. This one here is going to be our light blue. We double light blue that. Pumpkin up here. Let's get that cyan out for a little bit of alien action up here. And I'm trying to think, do I want to do that on all sides? I guess I could maybe do something like that on all sides, but let's just jump down here real quick. So, dang it. I was going to say, I'm mostly through with this to the point where I can just start sealing it all up. And hopefully stuff won't start spawning in here because I've got, you know, lights and things. And I would like to believe that they would all be, you know, playing nice and happy and all cool and whatnot. They're just chilling, you know, just lights. Not messing with anybody. Okay, so here's one thing that I've been thinking about that would be really cool for a ship like this. So, we have a water pillar that falls out of here like a beam weapon, right? Is that cool? I think that's cool. So, let me real quickly create an infinite spring. I brought 2 buckets, which is precisely enough to do that. So then I just grab that there. So great. Now I've always got a way to get out, too. So if you guys have any interesting thoughts you'd like to share in the comments about what you think it would be like if people lived out in the country more or had to leave cities, you know, that'd be an interesting... Dang it, why would I do that? Please, creepers don't spawn behind me. I should be too close. And, oh, I should probably wipe out all the extra dirt up here, too. Okay. Cool. Yeah, this is looking awesome. I think I'm going to put one of those up there, one of those up there. You know what I might do, actually? Is I'm going to get rid of these here. And then I'm going to take these light blue ones and run these out like so. So then that light kind of pours out this way more. I think that'd be a cooler effect. And, okay. So, do I want to actually have that light, or, there might even be something to kind of having a whole array here of alternating colors. Let's see, does that work? Yeah, that works, actually. So we're just alternating our colors here, like so. But yeah, I think that this would be really cool to use as a mob spawner, and I can set up a trap underneath once I know that it actually spawns mobs. And, you know, I might add a few more of them up in the sky around here. But, okay, so now all I gotta do is just cover up the, let's see, get rid of the stairs here. Don't want anything escaping. Even me. No, I should probably be able to escape first. Cool, so let's escape there. But yeah, there was a book, dang it, I forget the name of the author now, but it was Earth, but it was spelled with 2 A's, and the author essentially posits the idea that in the future, most people, for environmental reasons, will have to live outside of cities because they're not feasible in the long term, which I completely disagree with. I think they are. But, you know, like I said with the Batman scenario, oh, this is so cool. Oh, maybe it's not cool enough. There's an extra redstone torch there. Yeah, this is maybe not saucery enough, too. Also, it's all the same color. I should have varied that more. Okay, so first off, let's go ahead and wipe that out. Then, let's go ahead and maybe add some better colors in here. So, maybe mix in the light wool here. Kind of just throughout naturally. Okay, yeah, that kind of looks a lot better. Let's back off a bit and give that a look. Okay, that's already a positive step. Yeah, this is just not wide enough to really be a saucer. Although I think that the beam weapon, like that does look like a laser beam kind of thing coming out of the bottom. Oh, I should have had the beam weapon charger things going up through here more. This is why we iterate, children. So, real quickly, let's come out this way. And let's see, we can just take that right there and add that. Well, stuff is definitely spawning inside. Add that there. I hope I don't get shot by a skeleton. That will make me feel all manner of foolish. Okay, so we got that there on that side. Then we can do the same over here. Remember, when you're designing some sort of fancy thing that you later decide might be better as a mob trap, what you want to do is fill it with mobs that can shoot you down, down, down into the ocean before you do anything else. Like, don't finish picking your colors. That's just, you know, that's what unadventurous people do. No, it actually is a legitimately good idea to figure out your colors and stuff first. Okay, great. Now I've got no shovel with which to complete all of this digging out. Okay, so this is Mark 1 of the spaceship. I'm currently going through and removing all the scaffolding, but I'm pretty happy with how the light in here goes. And I just remembered the name of that author that I couldn't remember. The author of the book Earth is Bill McKibben. But yeah, anyway, so I'm really kind of happy with how this turned out for my first try. The next one, I think I'm gonna do a series of this, except they're not all gonna be this lame. But just it's one of those things where, you know, we got to be proud of our first attempts. Are there any, like, mobs getting teleported down in the water? Because that would be the coolest thing. I'm going to have to look at how real mob traps work and fix the water flow, too, so that actual mobs will get teleported downward. Oh, whoops. Maybe I was at Hypno's house. My bad, Hypno. I guess the aliens have come for you and your villagers. I'm going to have to turn up the view distance if I want to appreciate that more fully. I do like all the ladders raining from the sky, though. Okay, so let's just get out of here before Hypno comes back. So there it is, our flying saucer. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it looks good. So anyway, until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep adventuring. Ooh, when the stars move, it looks like it's flying. I mean, I guess it is, but it looks like it's soaring. Soar, saucer, soar. I believe in you.